Welcome to the NWR Aussie Resources Conference. My name's Kerry Stevenson. Exciting times. Accelerate Resources. The ASX code is AX8. They are a high-grade, emerging high-grade manganese producer. And joining us today is Yaxi Zhan. She is the Managing Director. Will take us through the project and why there are exciting news to come. Yaxi, over to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Kerry, for the introduction and a fantastic opportunity to be able to present online via the NRW team and platform. So for those who are not familiar with Accelerate, and today I will bring a brief introduction of who is Accelerate, what do we do, and what is our value proposition, and very importantly is what is our action plan to deliver those values. So standard disclaimer.
Not coming up at the moment. I think it's, oh, there we go. No, it was just lagging a little bit there, Yaxi. We're all good.
Okay, good, thanks. So the global demand, as we all know, the global demand for the EV space is forecast to grow. So from today's about 10 million EV to about 200 million EVs on road in 2030. This increasing demand also drives the increasing demand for manganese. Manganese is started use in the battery unit, and then which is the forecast to increase 18 times fold from today to 2050. This growth demand is really, as I said, is driven by the EV sectors. And however, the supply chain securities underpins the future growth of the sector. At Accelerate, our vision is to become the next manganese supplier and producer to meet this increasing demand for the high-grade manganese for the battery industry and the steel industry. So now have a look at the manganese. Lots of people are not very familiar with manganese. So manganese is actually a critical mineral is widely available. 90% of the manganese is used in the steel making industry and making high quality stainless steels. And in that aspect, manganese is, we call it irreplaceable, as we haven't found any substitutes for manganese as yet. Increasingly, is manganese also as a critical mineral being used in the battery space. As we heard in 2019 and very recently, Tesla and VW has announced their plan of increasing and including manganese as a critical mineral in their battery mix. And lots of people asking why using manganese. One is widely available. Secondly, manganese acts as a stabilizer in the battery mix. This means that we're increasing the battery range, reduce the temperature, increase the safeties. So the range of the battery will increase by approximately 10%, and also reduce the overall cost of the battery cost. And then very recently, as we know, Tesla has announced around July, they will start to use the new battery pack with manganese for their Model Y and Model 3. And this is called the M3P battery packs. Hence, our research shows that the manganese consumptions in the lithium-ion battery will be increased by about 18 times between now and 2050. And that will drive the global demand increase for the manganese. And probably this is a good way to resume into our Woody North Manganese project. So for any bulk commodity project, the location is quite critical. And for the Woody North Manganese is strategically located to close to all the critical infrastructures. That's including 50 kilometers to sealed road. So currently, these main project areas where I'm pointing towards. So that is accessible through existing station track, well maintained, and it's about 50 kilometers to the sealed road. So there's a blue line, there's a sealed road. So it's currently used by Woody Manganese Mine, which is currently in production, which is about 70 kilometers away from our main project. So as we can see that that is quite easily accessed with this national road. And then this project is our secondary manganese project that's actually on top of existing infrastructure. Woody North project is located about 125 kilometers to the Marble Bar, close to the infrastructure. So Marble Bar have a new airport under construction, and there's another airport at the Port Helens. And then now we're pointing to this area, which is the Port Helens, is well known for bulk commodity port, being in operation since 1950s. And currently, some other producers, manganese producers such as Element 25 is using the Port Helen as export port. We also have only 10 kilometers away from existing pipeline. So that will also help us with when we're going to the production, and we'll have multiple options in terms of energy source. So the project area is about 358 square kilometers along 35 kilometers of a strike. That's quite large areas, which is most of the areas where has been underexplored. Let's start to zoom into the key project area, which is Barmine Project. So the Barmine Project area historically had 27,000 meters has been drilled between 2004 and 2012, which is we inherited quite a lot of this historical data. So we call it, we ride on the success of the Barmine. So which will shorten the discovery process. And then from the historical drilling result, we can see that grade as high as 46%. And also in the manganese space is very important of the end product. So similar to Woody, the Barmine project from the historical metallurgical test result indicate the project be able to deliver 40% premium concentrate. So that set us apart comparing to other peers in the industry. So the grade is quite important in this business. When we compare the project, we compared ourselves to a high-grade manganese deposit, Woody, which is about 70 kilometers away from our project areas. So why we're comparing that is the Woody style mineralization is well studied and understood in the past. It has been consistently deliver high-grade product to the market. So when we're looking at our Woody North Manganese Project, we can see the similarity in terms of the deposit time, the mineralizations, the surface expressions, and also the result from the historical drill results. Now we have a look at the other part of the project, which has been underexplored in the past, has gradually become our key focus in the current and the future phase of the drilling, which is the Breaside West project. So this project again had a large tenement project areas, which is about close to 140 square kilometers. Historically has delivered the drill result, including 11 meters of 28.4% manganese from close to surface, 2 meters of 41, 5 meters to 37.3%. I have to emphasize that this project hasn't been drilled as extensively as the Barmine project area. Hence, to us, it's a lot of future discoveries to be made. So we have announced,
Sorry to interrupt you. Those percentages, when you're talking about manganese, if you go back a slide, just to explain to those of us that don't know much about manganese, is that a high grade when you say 2 meters at 41.8% manganese from surface? Is that considered high grade, or is that considered sort of what a normal percentage would be?
Yeah, so that's considered anything above 40% considered as a high grade as the raw material. So currently, it's in terms of the high grade producers, you're looking at the South 32 from Good Island. They produce 40%, but they're sort of in-ground ore grade around about 20-25%. So comparing to that, this is quite a high grade. And then if you also look at a recently shut down production mine, which is the Bootu Creek, that's around about, I think it was about 15% average grade. And then some other upcoming producers or newcomers who are already in the production probably ranged about, in terms of the cutoff grade, can be 7, 8, or 10%. The average grade between 10, 11, 12%. But this is, I have to say is that we can't really compare this to the average ore grades. Because this is a historical patchy drilling results, but does demonstrate that this project exhibits high grade potentials. We call it DSO potentials from near surface.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That explains.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So recently we made the announcement that we have completed a 2,000-meter drilling program around the Woody North area, covers both the Barra Mine and the Braeside West. And so we have intersected significant new area, which is in the area 42 within the Braeside West. And then to us, it's quite exciting news because it hasn't had this like long intersections in the past and the large mineralization zones. And that's from near surface to about the total length about 74 meters. And even is still open at the bottom of the hole as well. So we have it down. So the current, all the samples are in the lab, so we're pending on the result. So sorry, this is the Braeside West. So now we just a recap of what we've seen as a point of a difference in terms of the Woody North project. It is a structure controlled and similar to Woody style type of deposit. And in terms of a strike length, it had 35 kilometers of length in the strike length, and multiple structures and the outcropping of manganese mineralizations similar to Woody. Woody, as I said, has been sort of in production since 1950s, and it has about this 40 type of deposit. They have about 40 to 50 of different deposit. Each of them delivers between 200,000 tons to about 1 million tons. So for this type of a deposit, it doesn't have to be a large tonnage, but be able to produce premium product, which is market-like. So that is quite important point of a difference. And then within this project, we have a significant exploration upside. And so far has very small areas, especially within the Braeside West has been drill tested. So we're quite excited to start our next coming up drill campaign. A lot of the area has been under explored, largely because of historical unfavorable manganese commodity price. But today, with the average, the manganese price is sitting between $5 and $6 per dry metric ton. It's a quite a high price, and then the forecast is showing that this price probably going to be retained at this high level due to the increase in the labor and energy cost. So in terms of how we're aiming to deliver the values, we continue to have a more aggressive exploration program. So we just completed the phase 1 drilling program, and phase 2 about to start. And then parallel to develop the project into more resource status. And we're also starting the battery grade test work, basically really start to in-depth study around the material, if the material be able to produce them or meet the battery grade specs, and also commence the environmental study. So obviously without the team, we won't be able to deliver all the visions and then goals. So I have a very experienced board currently in place. And then I have to say that with Accelerate, with the exciting new project, which is the Manganese Project, we have to be able to assemble a very experienced manganese geological teams that are currently actively sort of heavily involved with the company. So then just to recap, what is our value propositions? Why invest in Accelerate? And then for Accelerate, we take on this high growth opportunities strategy and develop the near surface high grade manganese deposit at the same time to really tap into that EV space, and then to aiming to become the next suppliers to meet the EV demand. And the project itself is strategically located, has access to the infrastructure, and we do have the line of the vision that we're going to be able to bring that into the production. And then we have an experienced team who will be able to execute the plan. And we also, other than that, we have a very good package of a project called Gold, a purebred lithium project, and investment in other TSXV and ASX listing space. So AX8 is one of undervalued companies out there. So, but we have a very focused goal and aim to drive the manganese project forward.
And that's the end of the business. Thank you very much, Yaxi. If you'd like, for those of you that are on the call, if you would like to ask a question, please pop it in the Q&A box down below, and I promise to share it with Yaxi and she will answer them. One of the questions that I had is that, you know, we talk a lot about lithium, we talk a lot about cobalt and nickel and all the rest of it. Manganese seems to have slipped underneath the radar for the moment. Yaxi, can you talk a little bit more? I know you've mentioned it, but talk a little bit more about why it's an important part of the critical minerals sector. And, you know, is it important to get your offtake agreement? I know it's early days for you at the moment, but are you already looking at partnerships and how you I guess, get this project underway?
Yes, so the first question is why manganese has been overlooked for many years. So a lot of us call the manganese the forgotten battery metals. I think it's because traditionally manganese being used, as I said, 90% of manganese is in the steel making industry. So when people in the industry mentioned about manganese, the first thing they would think about is steel making. And however, as I said, that since the 2019, gradually there will be increasing the awareness of the manganese in the battery space, predominantly because manganese is the widely available, and also the cost of the battery is gonna be in the bottleneck for the mass productions, and then you call it the volume type of the EVs to roll out to all the mom and dad. So then I think the manganese comes in as a critical metal, sort of meet those increasing demand. So it is available, especially be able to produce high grade premium products in terms of manganese from tier 1 jurisdictions such as Australia. And you're looking at this like investment safe haven, and also access to the infrastructure, to clean energy and potentially lower emissions. So that's ticks quite a lot of boxes. So I think it's just a metal, yes, has been overlooked for many years, but recently Tesla's factory in Shanghai, and they has already announced that they will start using these M3P batteries in the upcoming Model 3 and Model Y. So we will see more of the news coming from that sector.
Yeah, so moving more away from just doing steel to into the battery sector. So the demand, supply demand is going to be increased, and projects like yours will be of more importance. So on that note, the second half of my question was, you know, have you already had interest, or is it far too early?
I think the manganese is like as iron and ore. If you're looking at the development path of the iron ore, traditionally it's only $9, and then China had a lot of iron ore produced, and then gradually the high grade has been run out, and then we have the iron ore price run to $180. I'm not saying manganese is going to have the same multiple folds of the pricing, but we have already seen the manganese price, which is increasing demand. So, and also what we're looking or targeting for AX8 is this premium product, and the product to be able to have a sort of less impurities, higher high-end product. So from our research shown that high-grade materials is always in demand. But for our focus, our team focus is to find the deposit, to bring it into the next more advanced phase, and then probably going to that marketing phase after that.
Thank you. Corey, well, actually, I'll start with Andrew. Is there a rationale for ferro-manganese product from such a site? Is that a route for battery use?
So if you're looking at the battery grade manganese is coming from two streams. One is called manganese metal, which is about 99.5 to 99.9% of the manganese. So this manganese is made from the ferro-manganese, which is lower cost, lower percentage of manganese. And then they were going through the secondary process to make it manganese sulfate, which is manganese salt. There's a pink type of salt. And then the secondly is using the higher grade of the manganese and then going through the hydrometallurgical process and then make the manganese salt directly. So to answer the question, yes, there's option or possibilities, but if you're looking at the energy consumptions and the waste products, and then so in our research, it shows that still to make a manganese sulfate from the manganese ore as a more direct route is preferred.
So Andrew also asked, is the plan to sell direct shipping or ferromagnesium or raw ore?
Yes. So I think we have announced last couple of months that we did a sampling program of about 150 kilos of near surface material has sent to the local lab. The result indicate that for the Braeside West areas, there is the DSO potential. So yes, there's to have this DSO potential targeting the near surface high grades, or to have to generate early cash flow, definitely an area the company is looking at.
Yeah, so DSO.
Yeah.
Corey wants to know, because one of the comments, one of the slides showed that you had some gold projects and some lithium projects. We didn't really go into them. Is the plan to divest of those or to develop them?
So at the corporate level, there's no decision has been made, but as a where we are now, still a sub 10 million market cap. So we really need to use all the resources we have, focus on one project, but not to forgotten the other Pilbara lithium project and the common gold project. So I think as we know that the exploration seasons for Pilbara, there are a set of seasons. Other than that, we will start to refocusing on the lithium and the gold when the teams and back in sort of have more time. So to answer your questions, there's no decision has been made.
All right, final question before we'll have to wrap it up is Andrew asks, is there a ferromagnesium, is there a plant around Port Hedland?
No, there's no, I think there's, I don't think there's one. The ferromanganese plants, I think most of them are in China, like 90%. And there are a couple in Malaysia, and all I'm holding is one recently made announcement. They're increasing their shareholdings in one of the ferromanganese plants in Malaysia. That's very interesting. So ferromanganese is basically have a higher content of iron and manganese. So that itself is different product comparing to silicon manganese. So that's a different product stream. We are looking at that as well.
All right, let's just wrap it all up and just let people know what's the news flow for the rest of the year, please, Yaxi.
Yes, so the second half, the final quarter of this year, we aim to restart the drilling campaign around the Braeside West and Varama area, and then conduct the further testing on the manganese to see whether we'll be able to produce high purity manganese sulfates. And also start the baseline environmental study.
Yaxi Zhan, Managing Director of Accelerate Resources. I wish you all the best. Bit hot up there in the Pilbara, so I wish you luck with that as well. Thanks so much for joining us at the NWR Aussie Resources.
Thank you.
Conference.
Thanks all.